Welcome to Under the Shell, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. Today, we are joined by Damon Brooks, a journalist from the University of Maryland, and if you haven't heard his story, you sure are going to want to stick around to hear it. After, we preview Maryland's upcoming games for this weekend and look back at the basketball seasons.
I'm Brendan Weissel.
Sam Jane.
Michael Big Mike House.
All right, let's get into it.
Well, here at Under the Shell, we are pleased to welcome on a fellow Maryland student, a fellow Philip Merrill College of Journalism student, the man, the myth, the legend, one of my friends that I've made here in Maryland, someone who's been invaluable to me in terms of giving advice, just being there. He's a great writer, but he's an even better person. He's someone who I know inspires me on a daily basis every time I see him, and I'm sure that a lot of other people that he interacts with, it's the same deal. We're pleased to bring on Damon Brooks. So, Damon, thanks for being here with us, and thanks for coming on to the pod and making your episode introduction here.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Sam and Brenda, for having me on. I'm a big fan of you all. Follow you all's podcast, Coach Locks, Coach Freeze. Big fan of you all's content. So thank you for you all. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate you all having me.
For sure. Just to start it off, we all know, you're a student here in Maryland. Came from a long journey. You're from Maryland originally. So I got to ask, how are you a fan of the most hated team in America, the Dallas Cowboys? Where did that come from? Why is it the Cowboys and the Star? Give us some backstory on that.
So my dad, I'm a junior, so my dad is Damon Brooks Jr. So growing up, he was a big Cowboys fan, big Tony Dorsett fan, and when I was growing up, he didn't play any games, brought Cowboys bibs. I have Cowboys onesies still from my kid. I still have my little kid Deion Sanders jersey. So he passed on that fandom to me, and ever since then I've been locked in with the Cowboys. And unfortunately, we haven't, enjoyed great playoff success. But I'm hoping that the future is much more brighter than the past has been. Sure.
That's I feel like the Pops is always influential in picking the story, but for those that don't know, Damon is in a wheelchair. Was not born that way. Played basketball your whole life, if I'm correct. Talk to me about, as a kid, what type of, disposition did you have? And then how did you ultimately end up deciding where you would play basketball in school?
So I would say I've been playing basketball all my life. I've been playing basketball since I was 3 years old. I grew up in Tacoma Park, Maryland, in Montgomery County. Basketball has been a big part of my life. All year round, whether it was camps, workouts, just playing with my friends. Just basketball is a big part of my life. Something that I found a lot of therapy in, a lot of solace in. It's been there for me through my roughest moments. Learned a lot of valuable lessons about myself and others, and just about life through the game of basketball. I love it. It's something that I enjoy to watch. It's something I enjoy to play. Something I enjoy to talk about. Something that is a part of my identity, and it's also a big part of my life. When I was leaving high school at Springbrook High School in Montgomery County, one of my assistant coaches, Ralph Burley, told me about Goucher College in Baltimore, Maryland, and told me basically, they wanted me to come there, be a good opportunity to continue my academic career there, and I could also play well on the basketball team. And so I pondered it for a few weeks, and then I decided Goucher College was the place I wanted to go. And then I made the decision to continue my academic and athletic journey at Goucher College in Towson, Maryland.
So then you're in Goucher College, you're playing basketball. How long were you on the team for before injury?
So I was a freshman. I was a freshman on the team. I played in most of the games. I missed a few games. I had hurt my quad really bad, and I wasn't able to play for a while, and so I sat out I think 2 or 3 games. But I played a fair amount. I played a decent amount for a freshman and made somewhat of an impact. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to continue my career, but I was able to make lifelong friends and make relationships that have lasted a long time.
So then obviously Brendan alluded to it. You have your injury conflict with a roommate. I know the story, but for the audience out there that maybe don't know who Damon Brooks is, talk to me about it. So you're in your dorm room. I'll set it up. You're in the dorm room. Was this roommate that you had, did you guys have, prior conflicts, maybe disagreements, that type of thing? What was your guys' relationship like? And then take me through what ultimately ended up happening.
So no, we didn't have any like anything leading up to the altercation. We were pretty friendly. Obviously we spent a lot of time with each other. Living in the same dorm with one another, play basketball. He was on the team as well. Both of my roommates that I had were on the team as well. We all played. We all did the same things: morning workouts, lifting, exercising. You know, just the normal routine of a college athlete. Having fun as a student. Lot young, 18 years old, trying to enjoy life, college life. Um, that was pretty cool. But leading up to that, like he was, we like I said, we had no problems at all, none that I knew of. But he kept antagonizing me and wanted to wrestle like instantly. Like always, he was adamant about wrestling, adamant. He just wanted to wrestle. So I'm packing my bags, getting ready for my class, and he's like basically blocking my entrance to leave out my dorm room so I go to my class. And so I'm like, look, man, we don't got time for this. I have to go to class. And he kept saying, I'm gonna put you on your neck. I'm gonna put you on your neck. I'm like, man, listen, I don't have time for this. I have to go to class. So as I step away from him to walk around him, he picks me up. I don't even expect it. He picks me up and then slams me on my neck first. And then instantly, like I had blood in my mouth. My legs were stiff. I tried to get up, but obviously I couldn't. Um, a security guard was dispatched. Luckily he was nearby. He was dispatched to my dorm room, and they called the ambulance, and I was stretchered off to shock trauma within I would say less than an hour. And then I'll say maybe 2 hours after that, I had two surgeries, one to stabilize my spinal cord, and one to remove, basically like to straighten out some of the damage and trauma that was going on to my spine.
What was your roommate like? Was he a bigger guy? Like, do you just not expect it? Like, what do you remember? Tell me that, and then what do you remember his face being like? I know you said things just went dark, but when he realized maybe the consequence of what he had just done, I mean, there's one thing between just wanting to wrestle and then another about changing someone's life forever. Do you remember what he looked like when that happened?
Yeah, it's a look I can never forget. It's like you see a dead body. It's like you know what you did. You knew that it's serious. You knew that it wasn't a laughing matter. You knew that like it seemed like he had joking intentions, but once he saw that I couldn't get up and that the look on my face was of fear and terror, he knew that he had done something pretty bad. And he wasn't that much bigger than me. I would say he was around maybe 6'2", 6'3". Wasn't really a muscular guy, really skinny guy. Um, it changed a lot. He didn't. I've never seen that look since then from a person in my life. It was something that I still see it. I still like think about it every day. It's an image I can never forget. Something that I ponder probably 100 times a day if I had to put a number on it.
You mentioned how you right after went to the trauma center and kind of began the path to recovery. So what was that path to recovery like?
So the path to recovery was like once I got injured, like I couldn't talk, I couldn't eat, I couldn't breathe on my own. I was on a ventilator. I had a tracheotomy that helped to aid my breathing. Um, like maybe like 4 to 5 times a night, I would have to do like chest compressions, and they would have to get mucus out of my throat and make sure that my lungs were healthy and make sure that there was no infections in my blood and make sure that I was pain free and make sure that I was managing my disability the right way. So it was a difficult time. It was a lot of lonely nights in the hospital. I lost a lot of friends. Lost a few girlfriends. A lot of people have, I would say, changed based on the fact that I got injured, and it was something that was really difficult to see, but something that I use as motivation to keep pressing forward.
Yeah, you just mentioned, I guess, a bit of the the negative community response. Was there any positive community response in the event?
Yeah, I got a lot of support from my high school, Springbrook High School. My former coach, Darnell Myers, helped out a lot. My school did help out at a point in time. They were being helpful. They were holding fundraisers, and those have dissipated since then. I received a lot of messages, received a lot of phone calls, text, well wishes. I've seen a lot of great outpouring, but as of recently, I haven't really. Well, I have received a lot of feedback recently, but I wouldn't say I haven't received any bad feedback at all. No.
So tell us the story about, journalism, right? So you're playing basketball and you love sports, obviously, but you get into the hospital and that's where you're spending your whole life, right? Like the world is going on around you, but you're, focused on recovering. How did journalism start to maybe creep into your head as like, okay, how hard was it to accept, I can't play basketball anymore. Now I got to do something else that I find I love. What was that transition like? How did you find that?
So I found journalism because when I was in the hospital, I had been diagnosed with severe clinical depression, and so I had struggled to like balance my emotions. I had struggled to find the words to describe what I was feeling, how I was the thoughts in my head, the just everything that was going through my mind at that time. It was really difficult to put into words. So I had a guy that would come talk to me periodically when I was in the hospital, and he told me one day, because I had an iPod Touch, and I was listening to music on there all the time, and he said, why don't you use your iPod Touch to write down what you feel, what you see. He was like, I noticed that you go through a lot of emotions, like you see things or go through things. Why don't you write them down? And I thought about that, and I was like, you know what, that sounds like a great idea. And I tried it one day, and I said, you know what, I find a lot of solace in writing what I'm feeling, what I see, a lot of my using my observational skills and trying to, just try to find ways to provide a little bit of therapy for myself. And so this is during 2012 when the NBA playoffs were going on.
I'm Brown.
LeBron had, go that second year. He was trying to get his first ring with the Heat. And I remember I had followed the playoffs religiously, like from when I was in shock trauma, like that's all I would watch. And then when I went to rehab, that's all I would watch. And I saw this loud guy, Stephen A. Smith, on ESPN, and he was, saying a bunch of crazy things and, saying a bunch of outlandish things about sports. And so I asked one of my nurses at the time. I said, who is he? Can you look him up for me? Like, what does he do? Like, so she told me he was a journalist. And so I said, hmm. And I said, so if he writes about sports and has a job doing it, I mean, I do this for free with my friends. Like, I figured that would be something that I could do and something that I find joy in. I said, I'm going to try to do that. Journalism was something that I like to do. I like to write. I knew that I would have to, sharpen my writing skills, and knew that I have to, put the work in. And I was more than willing to put the work in. So I needed something to kind of like fuel and substitute my passion for basketball. And so journalism provides that for me, the ability to write stories, the ability to write on deadline. It provides that adrenaline rush and that place of, solace that that basketball did. And I'm just glad that I continue to improve in this area because it's something that I have found a love for and something that I enjoy to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, that our fellow co-host Mike will be very happy that it was LeBron who helped inspire your love for journalism because he's a Bron stan. But then you kind of okay, so now that everybody knows, how you got here, that type of thing. I want them to kind of know about like Damon Brooks, the journalist, right? Because everybody knows the tragedy that happened with you, and that's it's important for you to share your story, I think. But you're on to this next chapter of your life, it feels like, where now you're trying to make a name for yourself in the industry. How have you done that? What steps do you think you've taken in the journalism field to improve as a writer? And not only, with that, but also where can you see yourself going in terms of this type of field?
So steps I would say I've taken with my journalism to like I've had like great faculty and mentors at Merrill at the University of Maryland that have been instrumental in my progress and instrumental in my success at Maryland. They have worked with me hand in hand, one on one, on ways to improve as a writer, ways to attack certain pieces, ways to, view different pieces, and I've really enjoyed it. I would say they have done a really great job with help mold me and see, the strengths and weaknesses. Um, but I believe I've grown in a multitude of ways. I try to attack everything that I do with a positive attitude because I don't believe a negative attitude will elicit any positive results. So I try to make sure that my mindset is positive, and that whenever I work with anybody that has critique criticism about my work, I'm able to receive it and able to take it in stride and use it as a form of motivation instead of something that's negative. I try to be a positive person. That's something I believe in. I believe journalism is something I love to do. So it's like kind of like basketball. You have a bad play, it's like the next one up. And you got to focus on the next play. So I try to work on ways just to improve my journalism. I've seen my writing improve in a multitude of ways, just based on my writing process and just like I said before, my thought process. It's been something that I've worked on, something that I've learned. I will also say one of my closest friends at Maryland, Ben Dixon, he's been instrumental in helping me too. Him and I have spent several nights, way past 10 o'clock, working on papers, working on ways I can approach different things. He's just helping me look at things differently. So I would say he's been a great part of my success as well. And I would say the whole Maryland community has done a great job with supporting me and providing words of encouragement during some very tough days for me.
You mentioned how the incident occurred in 2012, and then now obviously 2023. So there's a lot of time in between now and then. How did you end up at the University of Maryland?
So I was at Montgomery College, and I went back to school. So once I got hurt, I came home in 2014 from rehabilitation, and then I went straight into school at Montgomery College. I was at Montgomery College from 2014 to 2020. The reason why I was there so long because I had a few hospital incidents that I had to, uh, um, uh, I had to, divert time to several surgeries and several therapy sessions that I had to go through in order to get clearance that delayed my graduation date. So I was at Montgomery College for, I would say, 6 years. And then once I left Montgomery College, I applied. I applied to Howard University, I applied to Maryland, and I applied to American. And anybody that knows me knows the University of Maryland has been my dream school since I was in middle school. Um, and when Maryland accepted me, Maryland was my first acceptance letter, and it was no brainer for me. I didn't wait a day until let them know that I was coming. So once I got that acceptance letter, it was something I never forget. It was something that brought me a lot of joy because that's something I always wanted to do. And through all the tragedy I've been to and all the stress and turmoil, I kind of felt like it came full circle. You know what I mean? Like I kind of found my love back to basketball, and I kind of found my love back to the school that I always wanted to go to. So I'm fortunate to be at the University of Maryland, and I love every day of being a Terp, and it's been more than advertised, being here, and I love it. And I'm going to tell everybody that University of Maryland is the best school in the world.
This is yeah, could go off what Brendan said. Now you found this place that you love, but when you look back on, your life and those years, do you have like regrets? I mean, I'm sure everybody has regrets. It's not, and the idea that like you look back and say, like you look back 100 times a day. What regrets do you have, and how do you cope with them?
Yeah, I have regrets. Obviously, I regret that, and I wish it didn't happen. I wish I was more aware and had quicker reflexes to avoid the situation happening. Um, but honestly, I don't really have any regrets because I can't change the past. I try to move forward as best as I can. I know it's a tough situation. I know it's tough to, look back and say, this happened or that happened, but I try not to have any regrets. I just try to move forward with a positive mindset as much as I can because, what happened happened. The only thing I control is tomorrow and what I do the next minute. So I try to put my best foot forward and try to be as positive as I can. Life is about, trials and tribulations, but it's on you to use it as a testimony. You know what I mean? So, you can't worry about, the things that you've been through or the things that have happened in the past. Only thing you can control is, what you do now and how you approach it. And I try to, have every encounter that I have with somebody as a positive one, whether it's saying hello, good morning, good afternoon, how are you doing? Just being pleasant to people. You just never know. Your pleasantry can, brighten somebody's day and hopefully, brighten somebody's outlook. So I just try to be a positive person and try to uplift people as much as I can because, the world is full of negative as much negativity as it is now. So I try to at least bring a little, sun to somebody's day and hopefully, brighten their spirits and hopefully, reshape their outlook on life.
I know that I've also heard you share your story to the women's basketball team just a couple weeks ago. So, what was that experience like, and what was the experience like covering the team this past season?
It was great. It was great talking to those young women about, the fragility of life and telling them, how to maximize every opportunity because you just never know. It's something that obviously I live through now, and I want them to know that, they could do anything. I want these women to know that, just because they may feel like, or the society may make them feel like, they're lesser to men. I don't want them to believe that. I want them to believe they're just as powerful, if not more powerful than men. They should be able to attain the same things, and I want them to be able to be just as successful as men. You know, women are already kind of like, demarginalized in society as it is, and I want them to kind of remove that stigma and want them to know that they can do anything. It's just about your mindset and about your ability to maximize every opportunity. Because like I told them in the speech, you just never know what could happen in life. Like if I'd have known this would have happened, maybe I would have maximized more opportunities. But now looking back, I try to maximize every opportunity I can now and try to be as positive as I can, as I can on a day-to-day basis. But covering them this year has been awesome. Nobody thought that they would make a Elite Eight appearance. For a team losing 85% of their offensive production and to come back and storm through the tournament and register their most road wins in almost two or three seasons. That's pretty impressive. Head coach Brenda Freeze has done an outstanding job with creatively, maximizing her team's strengths while kind of like hedging their weaknesses at a point in time. So I feel like they're a great team. They had a great Elite Eight appearance and had a surprise season, but I feel like it's going to be really paramount for them to have a good off season if they look to take the next step next season.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, Damon's coverage is great all year. Anyone listening should go read his piece on Brenda Freeze and kind of the battle she had to go through. But Damon, we can only have you on for so long. So what we do with each guest is we got a little top 5 segment. This one, I know me and Damon have had talks about what snacks we like, what type of things. We always be complaining about the bad Lido pizza that they be serving at the games. So that will not be on your list, I assume. But top 5 for this week is we got road trip snacks. So I told you about it. You get a beverage, a chocolate, a candy, like a gummy, a chip, and a wild card.
I'm a plain. I'm gonna get a Hershey's milk chocolate. Keep it plain and simple. Gummy, I'm gonna probably go get some Lifesaver gummies. I like Electrolit from 7-Eleven. It's like electrolyte drink. You give me some Doritos. I'm cool with Doritos.
Cool Ranch or
Nah, I'm a spicy nacho guy.
ooh, spicy nacho. Okay.
Yeah, try to throw a little jazz in there a
Yeah.
little bit.
All right, and then
Sunflower seeds.
wow, good pick for the road trip. You got to get a little spare cup, spit them seeds in though.
Yeah, gotta get it. Gotta get the spare for sure.
Covering baseball,
Strong pick. Sunflower seeds, very strong pick, I will say.
We got a particular flavor we going with?
A ranch.
Ranch. Okay, that's solid. That's solid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a solid top 5. That's a solid interview. Very, very glad, very appreciative we were able to chop it up with you, Damon. You continue to be an inspiration to me and to all journalists out there. Not even just journalists, but people in general. So thank you for coming on Under the Shell, making your first appearance. We'll definitely try to have you back at some point as a reoccurring guest. Enjoy your Washington Post internship this summer, and don't forget about us when you make it big.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thank you all for having me.
Spring break is over, and so are the Maryland men's and women's basketball teams. Guys, what happened?
Mike, I mean, we all saw what happened with the men's team. It was, the first weekend, so less to get excited about and build up on. But we all kind of expected it, what happened against the Crimson Tide that led to the Terps' early ending.
I mean, honestly, Alabama was just a better team, and the better team won that game. Bama got more rebounds, shot better from the foul stripe, shot better from three, even though it had an off game. Those are the type of things that, better teams will just win games because they're better at those essential parts of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that seeing, how the team, they really fought early on in that game. They really kind of kept it close. They tried to limit Alabama. I liked the, trying to get individual matchups. They tried to get Donta going, that type of thing. But eventually Alabama, they were bigger. Juju Reese's foul trouble, Brendan, though, that's kind of what it seemed to kill the momentum that Maryland had.
It was hard to watch because of that. I think Maryland started off so strong with Juju in the game, and then as his fouls came up, the tensions kind of rose, and just the team didn't look like themselves. I think one storyline or one narrative throughout college basketball that you see often is when you look at talent versus experience. Maryland had tons of experience with the entire season. Alabama just had more talent. Maryland had so many fourth-year starters, grad starters. I mean, people are coming back. We can talk about that later, but had so much experience. But at the end of the day, talent wins games.
And we also said going into this, Maryland was going to hope that Alabama misses every single shot. They're not shooting perfect. And on the opposite end, Maryland has to be absolutely perfect on offense. And that just wasn't the case. They shot 12.5% from three. And when you're playing...
Is that good?
That is not good.
Officially by Kevin Willard standards, that stinks.
Yeah.
That's something you'd see out at the farm, not something you'd want in the front yard of your lawn, because they just didn't shoot the ball well enough. That's ultimately what doomed them. But overall, if you looked at this season and the end result, overwhelming success for Kevin Willard in his first year. And clearly, some players are deciding to try to leave for greener pastures. But one big player, Brendan, thought he'd be best suited here at Old College Park.
Jameer Young is coming back. I know.
Shout out to Rudy Gersten on Twitter.
Oh, what a pull from him. It's going to be very, very exciting to see him back in a Maryland uniform.
Jameer Young, question mark, if Zach Edey leaves, Big Ten favorite for player of the year next year, Mike? What do you think?
That would make a lot of sense. And I know a lot of people are upset about Hakeem Hart leaving. They're like, this is a big loss. What does this probably mean for Donta Scott, too? Because those are best friends.
Donta Scott's not coming back. That's my official prediction. And I'd also, can I just, one second? I'd like to say to Brennan Weissel, for when we were sitting in the crowd watching the game, I said, I think Hakeem Hart is leaving. Brennan said, there's no shot Hakeem Hart enters the draft. He's coming back. I think we put maybe potentially money on it, Brendan?
Was there money on it?
Do you remember
No,
that?
Definitely not.
But was I correct in saying?
No, you were absolutely correct. I just didn't think he'd come. I didn't think he would leave.
Certainly didn't think he'd transfer. I had no clue that was coming.
The reason he's transferring, though, is because of this incoming freshman class brought in by Willard. His first class, we've got three 4-stars. Jonathan Lamont, Deshaun Harris-Smith, and Jamie Kaiser. I know, Brendan, you had an interaction with Jamie Kaiser, actually. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so everybody knows the court rush of the Purdue game. Kaiser's on the sidelines. I ran into him. I was like, oh, my God. And I was like, this is going to be you next year. I said that to him. And that was my entire
That's probably one of the most elite quotes you'll ever find.
That was my entire
That's a young man who just got Jamie Kaiser fired up on the drive home. He remembered that when he went to bed that night.
I want something. I want to be able to cover some exciting basketball. So.
That's incredible. Well done, Brendan. Jamie Kaiser's a bucket. Sean Harris-Smith, dog, right, Mike? I think that's what Terps fans can
Gatorade
expect.
Player of the Year in Maryland this year.
Yeah, and he looks college ready. He's like jacked. Like he's ready to play in a grown man's league.
In my opinion, yes, that's absolutely correct. He played in the same division as my high school, destroyed them both times they played this year.
Is that more an indictment of your high school or Deshaun Harris-Smith? That's the ruling here?
Ooh. Let's not get too
deep
into that. Let's not get too deep. But
the AD at that school might not be too happy with that conversation.
He averaged 17 points with 7.2 rebounds and 6.3 assists. And Kaiser, like you said, big body, used to be a former football player, so he can fill that presence that Donta Scott would leave when he does eventually leave, as Sam predicted.
Yeah, I think I think he's going to be a really good sign, and I am predicting that. In case you didn't overhear Mike or misheard Mike, Donta Scott will not be coming back in a Terps uniform next year.
I would take the opposite of that, but that's okay.
Okay,
you think so?
So that's really interesting, Brendan.
He has no reason to leave. I don't think he's NBA ready, and I know he's talked with Kevin Willard so much about getting his body ready to be in the NBA. I think he's on that path, and I think his only chance.
His best friend did just leave, though. What does that say?
Who knows? We
Future
gotta wait and
can
see.
only tell.
Yeah,
That's the same thing they're saying about Diamond Miller, folks.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Diamond, obviously. Maryland made it all the way to the Elite Eight. We last talked. I think Abby Myers said that would have been pretty cool.
Yep.
They got there, and then they faced Goliath. Maryland wasn't David, but South Carolina was Goliath, both literally and figuratively. This South Carolina team was just elite. I mean, Mike grabbing rebound after rebound. You know, they were plus 20-something on the board margin. And then when they're making 50% of their three-pointers, Mike and Brennan, you don't really have a chance. What did you see from the Gamecocks?
I could not help but think how Angel Reese could have helped this Terps team.
You said this to me last night, and I was stunned.
I mean, when you just think about the interior presence, like the Terps, they had a great first quarter and were ahead. But as that game went on, like I talked about the men's team, it's things like just grabbing boards. Like that's one of the most important parts of the game.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, Mike,
when
they
you
have
can't
three starters who are above 6'4".
Angel Reese is in the Final Four, just to be clear.
Just to be clear, guess how many Angel Reese rebounds she had in their matchup against South Carolina? Guess. South Carolina averages the highest rebounding rate in the country. Mike, don't look. Brendan, what do you think?
How many rebounds they had?
How many rebounds Angel Reese had? She averages 12 on the season.
17.
She had 3
Oh my God.
or 4. It's like
It was a low number.
yes, because that's the South Carolina team. That's what they do. They out rebound teams. Aaliyah Boston's the best player in the country for a reason. Mike, I agree that I think that
But I mean, to play devil's advocate to my point, I also don't know if Maryland gets to this point with Angel Reese.
Angel
You've
Reese.
reported a lot about how Freese made
dude,
quotes
I'm not
about the
gonna lie.
selfishness
Yeah,
of the
she-
team and all that.
That's the vibe she was giving off. Brenna Freese doesn't really talk about last year, but this at the press conference, I asked her, or someone asked her, what is the difference between this year? She's like, last year was a me centered locker room. This year's a we centered locker room. I think,
Well said.
not to say anything like crazy, but I think that might have been a pointed shade at Angel Reese. And Kim Mulkey does not like Maryland basketball. Did you guys see the tweet?
No,
did not.
what happened?
Yeah, Kim Mulkey, not one of my most favorite people in the industry. But anyway, what she said about Maryland was a day before South Carolina and the Terps played, she said, you can book this right now. The SEC is going to have 2 teams in the Final Four. I don't care who South Carolina is playing. That's not a disrespect to them, but I know how good they are. I've played them. I've seen them. So you can write about 2 SEC teams being in the Final Four.
Was this after Maryland was slated to play them?
Oh, no, Mike, this was after Maryland was slated to play them, but before they played. So she knew it was Maryland.
Wow. I mean,
I don't think that's the best relationship.
bulletin board, but cereal.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right, Mike, certain things about Angel Reese. I also think Diamond Miller wouldn't have grown the way she did. And now, Brendan, she has a decision to make, one that she hasn't made as obvious as some might think.
If she's going to stay or if she's going to go.
Potentially.
You think she's going to transfer?
No. She's
No,
going to
no,
stay or she's going to declare for the draft.
Oh, okay.
She's the projected number 2 overall pick in the last ESPN mock draft. But every time someone asks her about leaving next year, she goes, well, I have some decisions to make. And she said that at the press conference last night, and I'm telling you what, I've never seen a bigger Brenda Freese smirk. She just had this look in her eyes. I don't think she's staying. I think it's possible. Brendan,
So
what do
you're-
you think about that? You think she's going or you think she's staying?
You're changing your stance a little bit from last night. Last night, right after the game I was talking to you, you said, like, no way.
I don't think so, but I'm thinking about it today, guys, and I watched the video. It's literally like it's kind of, and she's done it all year. I don't think she's doing it. I don't think her teammates think that she's staying.
I mean, right after the game, certain feelings are going to be a certain way, a little bit sad. I mean, do you see her embrace after the game? She's leaving.
Yeah, I don't think
As she
you're
came off the
wrong.
court
That's
crying, she's leaving.
Yeah, I don't think you're. I think I would predict she's leaving. Mike, would you say the same?
Yeah, if you're the number 2 draft pick, why
Why would you
risk
stay?
it?
But I think it leaves open a slight door crack for her to potentially come back.
It is one of the differences between men's and women's basketball. The decision just is a little bit different.
Yeah,
because of the money.
Because of the
all.
money.
Yeah.
It's 100%. She could probably make
And the
more money.
clout.
She could probably make more money at Maryland next year than the WNBA. It's probably a fact.
This is something we're going to get into in a later episode this season, the NIL stuff. So
That'll be super. Be on the lookout for that.
but
That's gonna be
Whether or
awesome.
not she does leave, Brenda Freese does have the 7th ranked class coming in for next year.
Yeah,
according to
it's
ESPN.
really good. She's got a 5-star.
Mhm.
They're going to be really good next year. I could see a top 5 projected in the preseason, and There's another top 5 team projected in the preseason. The boys in the cages, the men's lacrosse team, really just they're playing elite, and in particular because of their goalie. Brian Ruppel is one of the best goalkeepers in the country. It's Ruppel, but he's either way. He's electric. He's elite. Did you guys see the last game that
the UVA game
played?
was the UVA.
I
game
mean,
was
it's one of the
insane.
most impressive performances
That
I've
wasn't
ever
that was
seen.
the second to last game.
Yeah,
Penn
I know.
State. Yeah, but I mean, people had doubts. And Cavett was talking about,
Yeah. What was that guy's name? Teddy Dolan. He was terrible.
Teddy. I mean,
compared to,
people are talking what goal's gonna step in. I mean, Teddy Dolan won Maryland a game, so you can't hate him that
dude,
much.
he
But
looked awful in that game.
Syracuse game wasn't that pretty, but I mean, it's a crazy.
It doesn't matter
it's a
either way.
crazy
They found
storyline
their
It's a
goalie.
crazy storyline for a freshman.
Yeah.
Is it going to work out? Well, I mean, McNaney is so good. So, who knows what their record would be, what they would be like, and would they won the Notre Dame game? I mean, there's so many questions, but you got to play. You play for championships. You don't play for wins at the beginning of the season, and that's kind of how the men's and women's teams have been structured. Similarly, another similar thing is they had a very similar weekend, both playing Michigan at home.
Maryland women's has another star freshman that people are saying is the best on the team already.
Corey Edmondson has been absolutely electric. Started the season all right, and then really went crazy with the hat trick in the Denver game. Ended up losing, but since then been on an absolute tear. But
are you covering any of those this week?
Yeah, Michigan game.
Folks, be on the lookout. It's Brennan Weissel.
Come on, you gotta self-promote that, Brennan.
That's got to be better of a self-plug there. I mean, check him out, BYSL on Twitter, or Cool Moose 42 on Twitter.
I'm BYSL on Twitter. I'm Cool Moose 242 and other places. But if you look at just the Maryland men's and women's lacrosse games. This weekend, they're going to be pretty similar. All-time combined record, Maryland is 19-0. That's the men's and women's together against Michigan. Men are 10-0 all-time. Women are 9-0 all-time. And I don't expect that to change. The Michigan men's team is 4-4 this year, not had the strongest start. All-time, Maryland has outscored them 152-82. So Maryland has absolutely dominated Michigan in lacrosse since moving to the Big Ten. And then on the women's side, Maryland ranked 10th, Michigan ranked 15th, but I do expect much of the same. Maryland has taken care of them the past 8 seasons, and I do expect them to do that again, and I think we'll see much of the same there.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that this has been Maryland's playing much better. I think they're starting to gel a little bit with all the new faces, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them get going. Those are 2 premier programs in the Terps, obviously, Mike. And, they continue to be national title contenders. That's the, highlight of the spring sports, we would say. But on the other hand, you look at the baseball and softball, they were supposed to be really, really good, and they've kind of been struggling, at least the softball side. Losers of their past, couple games, got swept at Indiana. What do you think is the problem with this team? Do you think that early season success was maybe a little bit of a mirage?
We talked early on about baseball and softball being the games of highs and lows. At some point you're going to get to the medium, and you get to a hot start a lot of times, and then teams start to figure out. I think they were just a team that started hot, a little fluky, and teams just started to figure them out.
Yeah, I think that Oklahoma State win's carrying a lot of water for them, but they got to really start to figure it out fast. I'm doing a piece you can look out for on the Diamondback about the pitching struggles and what maybe a sense of mirage with how their pitchers have performed. Guys, in games that they're facing non-Power 5 opponent, they've allowed an average of 1.01 runs per game. When they face P5 teams, that number jumps up 4 runs to a 5.07 runs allowed per game. And that's just kind of explains some of they've had like 7 shutouts against non-Power 5 teams. I think that's carrying what was supposed to be a really strong unit, the pitching staff, what's otherwise been a down year. So they really got to get it figured out. And they're kind of heading on the downslope, while a team on the upslope is
Men's
the Dirty
baseball
Terps.
team. Yeah.
Dirty Terps, Mike.
So we talked about struggling. They opened up to a 4-7 start. That was not great. Pitching was not great. We talked about that a lot. But since then, since the Cambria College Classic, they've won 11 of their last 13 games and now have a 15-9 record. What's behind the hot streak, you might ask? I believe it's because the pitching has significantly improved. It's still not perfect. It's still not where you want a pitching staff of a contender to be at. But the pitching staff is now averaging 4.5 ERA in the past 13 games after starting with a 6.57 ERA in that 4-7 start. I think another factor has been 5th-year outfielder Matt Woods. Woods, he started slow. He was struggling with a back injury, but since then he's batting .403 with 5 home runs and 20 RBIs after that 4-7 start. They got a big test for them this weekend. They're traveling to Iowa. They're going to face their first Big Ten opponent in a 3-game series. Iowa is the 25th ranked team in the nation, so it's going to be a tough task for the Terps. They're 19-4. They did lose tonight, but it was a weeknight game. So those
Today's
are
Tuesday.
Weeknight.
Tuesday, yeah.
Weeknight. So those are a little hard to judge on, but Iowa packs some heat. Little fun thing to watch is that Friday night they'll be facing a pitcher, Brody Brecht, who can throw up to 100 miles per hour. So this guy throws heat.
That's pretty solid. I mean, you got to look for them to maybe take advantage of that. But they're back on the field. Softball back on the field. Those are the big boys in the athletic department.
Softball and baseball absolutely in the meat of this season. Preseason, very early preseason for football. Loxley had his press conference earlier today. Sam, you were there. What'd you hear?
That's the biggest boy of the program is what I was getting at.
Before I cut you off, yes.
Yeah, and then they had an interesting opener. Mike Loxley came out. Great to see Lox. Recognized me, gave me a little head nod, and I think he might have remembered the pod. So friend of the pod, Mike Loxley.
Oh yeah.
Clap it up for Mr. Lox. But anyway, Lox took the stand. It was pretty normal press conference. Didn't really say anything too crazy. But the one interesting tidbit I got from him before I want to hear what you guys have to think about this. He was talking about Jay-Sean Jones, right? So Jones sounds like he's back. You would think.
Oh yeah, he's
practicing spring. It's his 6th year. He's reaching Jared Smith levels, but they're talking about Jay-Sean. And Loxley goes, yeah, it's great to have him back, at least until the new transfer portal window opens. You never know these days. That was the only player he said it about. Do you guys think that that's maybe something he's kind of using this early spring to be comfortable and then transfer before the season starts? What do we think about that?
That would be really weird. I mean,
it's so weird.
Maybe Lox is just taking a rhetorical stance at the.
Yeah, but he didn't say about any other players, and it's so weird to say that about your 6-year senior. You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't you be puffing him up as like a leader?
Maybe that's why I said it, because he knows that it's a guarantee.
Garbage.
I mean, that's interesting. I didn't catch
I think
that
it might have been a shot at CJ Dupree, potentially.
I was about to say
or CJ Drippy.
I like to call him Drippy. Yeah. He left. I mean, CJ left, obviously.
Yeah.
Great guy. It's unfortunate Maryland won't have him back. But I don't think many
that is
people
a weird
That's
comment.
weird.
It was
Yeah.
so weird. It was so weird. And I'm telling you what, the whole room thought it was weird.
Really?
So
have they come out with anything since then? I mean, you think he'd cover that track up? Maybe?
No, I don't think so. I don't really.
He's a man.
He was out there.
He's a confident man of his word.
I don't think he thinks he's leaving, because Jay-Sean's out there with the first stringers catching passes from Talia again. Like, it looked normal. Like,
it would just be a weird thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It would be so weird.
Maybe Lox is trying to get people to come in that second transfer through, saying, we're open.
We're always open. Yeah.
Maybe he has a trick up his sleeve. He's trying to.
Yeah, he also said something cool about that just quickly. And he was talking about football transfers and how, if he likes recruiting guys. A lot of Maryland's new transfers this year are DMV guys. So he was talking about that. They asked him a question. He's like, yeah, honestly, if you disrespected us, if you didn't give us the time of the day when we were originally recruiting you when you were in high school, and you kind of thought you were too good for us, and then you want to find a second home because things didn't work out, he said, I'm not really interested in bringing you in here. Like,
really?
You couldn't give us the time of day, then I'm not going to give you my time of day now.
Softball coach has a similar philosophy,
correct?
Correct?
A little bit, yeah, in terms of, like, I'm not going to re-recruit people that didn't give a you-know-what about me, that type of thing.
And I think that makes sense, right? Why take a player in who completely overstepped your program?
I think that's kind of a culture flex a little bit. Like, we don't need your talent. We already got talent. We don't need to bring you in if you don't necessarily think that we're good enough.
Yeah. Just last thing I'll say on that, maybe a little bit of a conspiracy. Maybe Loxley is saying, wants to get the idea that Jay-Sean's leaving so other wide receivers will come here, think there's an open spot. I don't know.
Now that's weird. That's weird.
I prefaced it with a conspiracy.
Wild. That's wild, but the last 2 segments we're doing is about to be even wilder.
That
starts off with a big-time quiz.
Okay, big time, huge quiz. We got quiz on the women's tennis, women's golf, men's track, and women's track. If you guys
just repeated something.
I might have repeated. We'll get to it. Whatever.
Yeah, there's like 8 different ones.
We talk about many of the big programs here. We don't always talk about some of the smaller programs, so I'm just going to give you an update on where their rankings are. And
Let's hear
You
it.
got to guess. Okay, where do you think the women's tennis team stands?
Mike, I'll take this
let
one
me
and
write-
then you
okay.
alternate.
Women's tennis.
What do you
Yes,
think?
I'll take this and then you take the next
All right.
one. We'll
Let's-
switch
let's-
back
let's
and
hear it.
forth. I'm going to go, my guess for this one, no, there's no way there's 100 tennis programs, right?
Let's quick, just off the dome. here.
75.
Okay. Women's golf. I'll give you the total number of teams. There's 277 women's golf teams.
Women's golf. I think I saw a tweet about this the other day. Is it 30 something? I'll say 30.
Okay. Men's golf, there are 306 total teams.
Oh, Lordy. I think that they're actually pretty solid. I'm going to go 38.
All right.
Maybe that was the women's team. I don't know, man.
All right. Men's track. What do you think?
Men's track.
They're horrible. It's got to be so high, Mike.
How many programs are there?
I didn't try. It's in the, it's up. It's up there.
Oh, Lord.
108.
Okay,
wait.
that might be the closest guess yet.
Oh!
No, it's not.
Oh, come on, Brendan.
Brandon, that just was
What
a
was
gut
that for?
punch, man. What
Come
the
on,
heck?
man.
Women's track.
They're terrible. 227.
All right. Here we go.
I gotta hear it. Give it to me, Brendan.
Okay. Here we stand. Women's tennis. Sam said 75th, 49th. Not
Let's
terrible.
go!
Yes,
All
not
right.
terrible.
All right.
Can
Tennis,
we track the difference between me and Mike's guesses, like the sub difference, and we'll
overall?
add it
Yeah,
up and see
we
who's
can do
worse?
that.
What are they on Ken Palm?
I will do that. I will add that up while we do another segment. So I'll get it at the end of the episode. I'll let you know.
All right.
They're 13-3 on the years is women's
Mike,
tennis.
a little bet on this?
Now move into women's golf. 36th. Mike said 30th. Very
Oh,
good.
that's really good. 6. That's
Very
pretty
good.
Oh boy, I'm scared for this one.
Okay. Men's golf.
Oh God.
You said 38. 206.
Oh man, that's a body blow.
I think I don't have to tally it. I
Yeah,
think you're gonna lose on
Mike's
that.
got it.
Although you did do one more guess. Whatever. Okay. Men's track. Mike, you said 108. Men's track 137.
This
Not
guy's
bad.
on a heater.
I don't know how you came up with that, but you got it. Pretty close. Women's track, also a very strong guess. Sammy said 227, 206.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So if you exclude the extreme, which is
Where are
men's
they
golf,
Where are these finding these women tracking golf players, bro?
I mean,
This is at this rate.
We got it. It's not acceptable. They got to be better as
Yeah,
programs.
athletic
just-
department has
just-
to do better, man.
just to cover my bases here, I used the tennis point rankings for women's tennis.
Not enough country clubs in Maryland.
I used the Golf Week rankings for men's, women's golf, and then U.S. Track and Field does the rankings for the track and the track and field rankings are done based on performance, so those are very concrete. Yeah, that's what we got there.
That's a wild game.
I
That
thought
was
we
a fun
just.
one.
I mean, people want to know how their teams are doing, so we thought it's okay. We got a bit of a
And
draft.
what's the women's?
Yeah.
What's the swimming team ranked? Oh,
They're at Goldman Sachs, I think.
Yeah, bit of a wild segment there. Bit of a wild top 5.
Top 5, and then we got a awesome
Terrific Terp. So these are going to be 2 last.
What an episode!
Fire
to bounce
segments.
back here.
But we're going to still go with the top 5 road trips. So I'll set the qualifications because this was my snake idea. I'd like to point out that I've come up with some big time snake draft ideas. I mean, no. We all have, but I'm not winning much of the voting drafts. But
I
at
am.
least
I
I'm winning
definitely the first pick this week.
that's
I'm always
false.
winning. I'm first pick this week.
Okay, so what we're going to do is top 5 road trip snacks. So the qualifications are that you are on a road trip in the passenger seat and you are in a normal car that you cannot get cleaned whenever, and you are going to be driving for a long haul. So this is not, and you're stopping at a just normal convenience store. Think of your 7-Elevens, your whatever's, your
wait,
local,
we're stopping at a convenience store.
local convenience store.
What happens with the wild card though?
Yeah, you got to just think what they would have.
Okay.
It's not. This isn't. You're not getting gourmet chocolate or
I love gourmet chocolate.
that type of thing.
And we're not in a Wawa. Let's just make it
No,
fair.
not
Yeah,
in
not
a
in a
Wawa.
Wawa.
This is a basic convenience store. So
What are we drafting?
you get 1 beverage, 1 chocolate, 1 candy like gummy type, 1 chip, and 1 wild card that can be anything. So 5 picks, 5 rounds. Let's hear it, Brendan.
Okay, I'm gonna take. We're doing snake draft.
Does not have to be in order. Clarification.
I think the most exclusive thing is probably candy. I'm gonna go with Reese's Big Cup.
So that would be your chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah, chocolate. My bad.
That's a solid pick. The Reese's Big Cup, is it the one you're getting 2 of, or is
Oh,
it
you're getting
just,
2. You're getting 2.
That's a big man right there. Number 2, Michael House.
Number 2, candy is the hardest one. I don't feel like there's a lot of non-chocolate candy brands you can pick from. Sour Patch Kids.
Wow. What type of ones?
What type? The classics, just the classics. The classic Sour Patch Kids. You can't go wrong with them. Sometimes you're feeling watermelon. Sometimes you want to go back to the classics.
That's I get that.
Sam, you got 2 picks here.
Yeah, I do. And I'm gonna start it off with a pretty good pick. I'm gonna go with the Twix bar as my chocolate.
Solid.
Twix is a very elite candy. Brendan took what I would have gone with, but Twix is not even a consolation prize. Next up, I'm gonna go with my beverage. That's gonna be a nice classic water. Water.
That is like an insane pick, Sam.
It is, but I think it's what it does for your bev. You get a nice bottle of water, keep you hydrated. If you guys don't like that pick, I can change to a different.
No, I'm not
beverage.
changing. You picked it.
Okay, so that's my beverage. You don't get unlimited water fills. It's a normal road trip. You got to fill up. That could
You're
even
traveling to the Final Four, maybe if our teams were good enough. All right.
yeah, exactly.
That
my
was 2. You
two.
got Mike.
Oh, that was okay. Next up, I think I'm gonna go wild card. I'm gonna take combos. Combos
Oh, that's a
are
great pick.
underrated.
Mike does love combos.
When you catch me in the CCC,
CCC,
late
that
at
boy
night,
getting them combos.
I'll be getting
I'm telling
combos.
you. That's
All
a
right.
good pick.
I got 2 here.
I got no issue with it. Do you?
No. I got 2 picks here. I'm going to go with beverage. You need a little caffeine. Maybe it gets late. Dr. Pepper.
Dr.
You
Pepper.
could tell.
Wow. Good pick.
That goes off my board.
Do you go cherry? do you go cherry or do you go straight up?
No, just straight up. That's
That's a good play.
classic. And then I'll go with the chip here. I will take a salt and vinegar Lay's.
I have an issue with that one. Salt and vinegar is a horrific flavor. What do you think?
I don't know
about
how
it,
well they
Mike?
combine with the Reese's Big Cup. That might be crazy. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's a wild breath smell. Your driver's not going to be too pleased.
Oh, well.
It is what it is. Brendan will live with it.
Mike?
Next up, this is tough. I think I'm gonna go with chocolate. I'm gonna take Kit Kats. I think Kit Kats
Oh, good pick.
make way more sense in a car ride. First of all, I don't know, just the idea of I don't know, you have to unwrap the Reese's. You gotta hold it carefully. Kit Kats, it's just a simple bar. You
It's
eat
true.
it. Yeah.
It's a good pick. Kit Kats are not my favorite chocolate, but I respect that. What I'm going to do for my candy is I'm going to go with the peach rings. I love those things.
You do.
Those are so good. Give me the peach rings. Give me the gummy. It's a good pick.
One more?
I'm going to go with my chip. And it's a little surprising to me nobody's taken it yet. It's a great chip. I'm going to go with the classic Dorito, the red Dorito. It's really good. Nacho cheese, elite flavor. It's a staple for a reason. You know what I mean, Brendan?
It absolutely is. What we got here, Mike?
I'm gonna take another chip. I'm gonna take Funyuns. A lot of people.
Wow.
I know this will not be popular
That's
for a lot
not
of
going to
voters.
get well on the voter scale.
Is that a chip?
Funyuns?
Yeah, it is.
No,
It's a chip. It's a chip. I'm
Brendan
gonna
has
take.
no idea what a Funyun is.
I can't even. I'm sorry. I really wouldn't know. Okay. Going with my candy here, I'm going to go Swedish Fish.
Wow.
That
Back
was,
to
that
back.
Was, that was a strong play.
Back to back. Interesting ones, but I like Swedish Fish, so I don't. It's just an underrated candy.
And then wild card, you could go anything. You could go lottery ticket.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with what
I'm up.
Brendan doesn't say, and I'm hoping he doesn't say it here.
I am gonna go. Oh, I'm not gonna say everything.
Should we say it on 3?
Roasted peanuts. I'm not.
Oh, I wasn't even close.
Planters brand. Please.
Honey roasted?
Sure, I'll take honey roasted.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Thank you for adding to my pick. I
Yeah,
appreciate
of
that.
course.
It's very nice of you.
Okay,
Mike.
Number 5, Mike.
For my last pick, I'm gonna take. You can't go wrong with Coke, right?
Oh, the
Coke.
straight up Coke.
You can
play.
never. You could.
Just
You could go very wrong.
You
with
could,
Coke.
you could, but with Coca-Cola, nothing could go wrong.
Very well said. All right, Sam, finish off the draft, please, before we get into Terrific Terp.
Yeah. My final pick gonna be the one that I ride with for a while. It's gonna keep me full for a little bit on the road trip. Beef jerky, classic.
Okay, solid.
Or teriyaki.
Solid.
Give me teriyaki. I love that pick.
That was a strong wild card.
And that's a strong draft. Strong draft. Strong Terrific Terp. It's our favorite segment, the one where Brendan just goes wild on some legend we've never heard about. I can't wait to hear this week. Mike, Flash warning to all the audience. This is his best one. Book it. Take it away, B.
I haven't started yet, but let's get into it. All right. Fred Funk. Anybody know Fred Funk?
No.
Never heard of him.
Tell me about him.
I thought Sam may have known him, but let's get into it. So Fred Funk graduated from the University of Maryland in 1980 with a degree in law enforcement, but the only law he enforced was on the fairway. And boy, did he hit them often. On the PGA Tour, he had the highest driving accuracy 7 times. Funk grew up playing sports in College Park long before he attended the University of Maryland. Growing up, he was a boxer. He was ranked number 1 in his age group for a while, but when he turned 17, that's when you have to start fighting against people in your same weight class. In his same weight class at his gym was Sugar Ray Leonard. So he quit boxing, pursued golf full time.
Sugar Ray Leonard?
When he got to Maryland, it was time for him to try out for the team. On a beautiful fall day in the Mid-Atlantic, Funk stepped up to the tee with 12 other guys. 13 men fought for 12 spots on the team. He couldn't lose. How could he? Funk played 17 solid holes, but scored an 11 on the 240-yard par 3.
Oh, my God.
His first shot went into a creek. He decided to play it from there. Got an 11. Sam knows an 11 on 240.
Folks, you're not trying to score high numbers.
You've played that whole, Sam. It's tough. It's tough to get that.
That's a tough one, yeah.
That 11 was too much to overcome, and Funk did not make the team his freshman year. That round dictated the rest of his 1975 as he flunked out of the University of Maryland, and he transferred to Prince George's Community College.
Oh, my God. That's the
After 2
college
years,
Brendan thought about transferring to.
After 2 years at Prince George's Community College, he worked his way back to the Maryland team. He was pretty solid in the Maryland team, but nothing incredible, nothing special, but very solid. Graduated 2 years later, and he tried to enter the pro golf scene. But as many people know, entering the PGA Tour is tough.
So tough.
Mainly because a lot of travel.
And there's so many people.
Expensive. Little money, he turned back to Maryland to become the head golf coach and the course pro. He did that from 1982 to 1988. During those years, Funk played on the tour but never performed well enough to play full-time. In 1989, he got his break. He struggled financially for many years but left Maryland to join the tour full-time. He ranked up 29 total pro wins, and his ranking peaked at the number 21 golfer in the world. He was part of the 2003 and 2005 President's Cup teams and the 2004 Ryder Cup team. He never did win a major, but he won the Players' Championship in 2005 as the oldest player ever to do so.
Legend.
And he had some success on the senior tour after he turned 50. Won 3 events, and he still holds the record at the Senior U.S. Open, where he went 20 under in 2009. As one of the shortest drivers on tour, he used accuracy to his advantage. Because of this, he loved to use hybrids and said that the release of them saved his career. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Funk.
What a legend.
Brendan, that was
Take it away,
that
B.
lived up to the expectations.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank
That was
you.
a GOAT level performance
was-
in Game 7.
That was Game 6 in the Garden.
That's folks, Jonas Evans, if you're listening to this, we'll know if you listen to the full episode. Put it in the title of the pod. Fred Funk, the legend.
I mean, what a crazy guy. Just give me brief reactions on what you thought of his story.
I told you what my reaction was. It was incredible. I mean, the guy, he tried so many different things, met so many different legends. Sugar Ray Leonard, and then you go on the PGA Tour, probably you see Phil Mickelson and like Jack Nick. Like, that's incredible.
I mean, the 11 on the second. Oh, he just
You
can't do it.
You can't do it, man. That you had it locked
But
up,
think
Mike.
about it. If he hadn't had that, he probably would never have had the success.
That's
so,
crazy. That just shows life has a path for everyone.
There were
You just
so
gotta
many
follow
twists
it.
and turns
And
in
the
that story.
sprinkle of the Prince
I know,
George
the
Community
Prince
County
George
is
Community
crazy.
takes it away. That was a great, terrific Terp. That was a great episode. Brendan, take us out.
Gonna cite my sources super quickly. Baltimore Sun, the post game, Terps, PGA
The whole
Tour stats. Got to
savage.
make sure I
And what did you do to get on Terps, Brendan? What did you use?
the internet.
It says you
Oh,
used
the
a
Wayback
machine.
Wayback Machine. You learned about that in 201.
That is some big J journalism right
Yeah,
there.
that's
Using the
well done.
Wayback Machine.
Well done. Folks, you want the hard-hitting stuff. You want the stories about legends in Maryland sports. You want to hear what your Terp teams have to do to keep on winning? You come to this podcast. That's right, Under the Shell, another great episode. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get to listen on your way to work, way home, whatever it may be. Find us there. Look us up on all the socials at _the shell. Folks, another great episode. Have a happy rest of your evening, day, whatever it may be. Peace.